Hey, welcome to episode. Let me try that again. Don't you fucking dare.
I thought we already had our intro, but now we really have our intro.
Oh, man. Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome to episode 176 of Frenzy Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul.
Hey.
And Blake.
Hey.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Pretty good.
How you doing, Nick?
I'm all right. Blake had an idea for this episode, and that is we start with questions.
Yep.
Because what usually happens is we struggle to find something to talk about for 5 minutes, then we go way off topic for about 55 minutes, and then we wrap things up, and we say, oh, we've got some questions, but we won't read them.
Yep. That's how we have a backlog of questions going back probably like 2 years.
Yeah, look, I think we've gotten through a lot of them.
Well, I also just gave up on some of them.
Yeah, he did give up. Okay, we'll start with this. This is a very recent one. This is from WiggyWig. Says, I know I'm late to the party, but I think Nick is ignoring where Elden Ring is coming from. While I agree you can judge and review it in on itself and have valid criticisms, but in some aspects it can also be ignorant. The quests are the way they are because you're not supposed to figure it out by yourself. It is one big treasure hunt for the whole Souls community and have to be cryptic and random to more or less guarantee that you need thousands of people collaborating and sticking their heads together. What Nick calls bad game design is, in my opinion, a different philosophy he just does not agree with, and one he did not participate in since the beginning with Dark Souls, I would assume. Also, you can join an online group using a password which filters all the messages to be only from this group, so you can join a group that does not post 400 times the same joke.
I didn't know that last part. That's interesting.
I knew that last part.
I don't
Really?
know why you would. I want that same joke 400 times.
I mean, it's the meme, right?
Yeah.
And you got to add to it. You got to also put dog here
Oh,
as
yes.
well.
So, okay, let's talk about this. Those two concepts run contrary to each other, right? You can eliminate the community,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's designed around having the
Okay,
community.
it's eliminating the masses, but it's like you're joining a smaller community.
Sure, okay. But it has to be a community. It's password filtered, so you have to know the community.
Mm.
So you have to already be part of the community to actually do it. That's fine. Let's talk a little bit about the quests being the way they are because you're not supposed to figure it out by yourself. That is fine. Look, there are lots of things that run on this concept. If you've played any ARG on the internet, like an alternate reality game or augmented reality game where you are solving these cryptic clues and filtering through data and like doing all these crazy things, trying to solve some big elaborate puzzle. Those run on that concept. The problem is those have a logic to them. And I don't think a lot of Elden Ring's quests have a logic to them. And they are also punishing if you don't hardcore follow the quest to its end while sacrificing everything else. By that I mean, there's the Rani quest line. There's the magic mage lady, and if you don't like exclusively do all the elements of that quest before like progressing through the game, one of the NPCs involved in that quest line just dies.
But does that matter?
Yeah,
Like, why?
because then you
You
literally
don't get some item or something, but
Yes.
like the game shouldn't be built around you need this one item to get through it. Like it's literally not built that way.
Okay, sure, sure, okay. Let's say you're playing a game where you've got a build,
Yeah.
and the build revolves around an item, or it's a very specific build.
Yeah.
You're a spellcaster.
Well, now, but
You're
now
a spellcaster, and you deal spell damage. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's like there's not that many trinkets that like increase your spell damage. But there's one. There's like a pretty good one.
Yeah.
It's like, in fact, you could argue it's like the best one. Let's call it like a scorpion, like a magic scorpion.
Okay.
Right. And let's say the only source of that item is this NPC. And then let's say that NPC dies if you don't do the thing. And then you just can't get that item.
But you can still beat the game.
You can still beat
Yeah.
the game, but you literally cannot get like that item. Now that's
But if you
fine.
didn't know
That's-
about that, what you don't know what
sure.
you're missing out on.
Sure. Is that good?
I mean, this is a point of view, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if
Yeah,
you're
I
if you're a
think it's fine.
completionist,
Here's Final Fantasy IX
mm,
had a thing where the best weapon in the game,
yeah,
for I think his name is Steiner,
yeah, okay,
knight character,
Yeah.
or maybe Freya, the like weird, I don't know, mouse lady. I don't know what she was, but there's one of the best weapons for one of the characters.
mm.
You can only get it if you got to the end of the game within 8 hours.
Hmm.
It is speed run the game.
Well, that seems foolish to me.
Oh, very interesting. But you didn't know about it.
What's with this tone?
It's the same thing, Blake. It's the
Final
same
Fantasy
thing.
games have quite a lot of stuff you can just straight miss.
Huh?
Final Fantasy games have a lot
Sure,
of stuff you can
yes.
just miss.
Final Fantasy X, one of the best weapons. You have to not open certain chests.
Huh. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that one's ruthless.
Yeah.
in a game,
does
in a
that-
game.
Is that not a cool? Is that not
you
good
can-
game design?
You can
But
still.
you can
think
just
it's
not know
fine.
about it. Do you understand? Do you see the problem now? It's the same design decisions coming from different angles,
Mm.
right? It is
Yeah, it is.
a very, very good thing for your character,
Yeah.
which you can completely miss out on, completely ignorant
Yeah.
through normal gameplay.
Yeah.
To the point where, it took you 120 hours to get to this point. Sorry, start again.
I still think it's more like it's just a point of view, really. Like
Yeah,
if
sure,
it really does. Like
sure. You can have a game that you can have a game where there's like a peripheral. You plug it into your PC and it stubs your toe every 5 minutes. And
I mean, you
you
could.
know what? That makes the game
Have
harder.
you not
Yeah.
been playing Stubby Toey?
well, look. I mean, some Dark Souls players
It gets really
would do
good.
that.
It gets really good after like 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
But really, I do kind of feel like with
look.
Dark Souls, it's a different point of view. Like you are kind of okay. Like for me, anyway, I'm okay exploring that world and finding things. And if I miss out on like the best weapon for my build, I'm okay with it. You know, it just
Cool.
is part of the journey.
Sure. Now let's say,
But if you're min-maxing, yeah, okay. But then you'd look it up anyway, and that because you don't really care about the journey, you care about min-maxing.
okay, now let's put this in context. Okay,
Yeah.
you're doing a quest line.
Mm.
You don't know about the rewards. You're just enjoying the quest.
Yeah.
But the quests don't give you a lot of direction. In fact, they give you sort of negative clues where, like, okay, you go to a location, you find like a doll. In order to progress the quest, you have to talk to the doll
Yeah.
at a specific site of grace 3 times
Yep.
before it will respond
Yep.
to you. Okay, this is how this quest works. This is literally you have to do these things for the quest to progress.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you talk to the doll once at that site of grace, and you get the ellipsis.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realize you have to talk to it again, and then again,
Mm.
getting the same response before it will actually progress the quest. So let's just assume you think you've done the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
or you think you've done the wrong thing. Either way, you move on.
Yeah.
But you are trying to complete this quest.
I don't.
What
I don't.
what is your option here?
The thing is, I don't disagree with you about
Okay.
the like convolutedness of some of their quests.
Okay.
Like we've had the crouch down to be an egg conversation for so many years now.
Even that is, I would say, better because it's kind of meant to
Well,
be.
at least the thing is, it gives you a.
It gives you a prompt.
prompt.
It's meant to be like a thing you find, you
Mm.
stumble across, as opposed to a thing
But-
you have to redundantly try multiple times to progress.
Yeah. No.
Now, let's say there's a wall. There's a wall you have to hit 100 times, and then on the other side is a secret.
Well, I have heard about that wall because I told you about that wall. That wall you got to hit 100
Yeah.
times. Apparently, that is actually a bug.
But how can you tell? How can you? What's the
But
difference?
that's the thing. Is that
I think it
if
was a
that was
bug
a
because
I don't know. This is what last thing I heard about it was that it was a bug.
oh okay.
But then the thing is, Dark Souls is so ridiculous like that people just accept it.
Yep.
This is
Now,
also
why?
Because I was playing when that was found.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was everyone trying to hit every wall
I know.
50 times.
I mean,
to
it
see
was
if there a
already
secret.
bad enough,
Now-
right? With like
Yeah.
the hidden
Now
walls, you
let's
just
say-
hit every wall.
Now let's say there's a chest in the game where if you don't get it early on, and then you there's like you ignore that chest,
Yeah,
and then you come back 100 hours later, and it's the best weapon in the game.
yeah.
Is that cool?
I mean, maybe.
The thing is, I think I like secrets, and I like there being weird things.
Yeah.
I even more like that it takes a lot of people to figure it out. Or multiple playthroughs, or like that. It just creates these weird stories. Like we're still talking about it, right? Whether you like it or not, it becomes like a.
Oh boy, I wish I could stop talking about it.
I feel like it's gotta be your favorite.
It really isn't. Here's the thing. I agree. I like games with quirky little secrets. You know, Super Mario Brothers 3 has like you duck down on the white blocks and you get to there's a warp whistle. You know, that's cool. Mario RPG, there are secret bosses and lots of weird little quirky things. If you revisit places, there's like a whole little quest line to unlock a casino where you get ultimately after like 2 or 3 hours of gameplay, a crummy item, right? Like there's lots and lots and lots of little things and lots of cool games that designers put in there and game developers put in there that are not meant to really be found by the masses. That's fine. The problem is that's all of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
They've just fully gone.
Yeah. So as a result, it feels disjointed. It feels incongruous. It feels like at no point when keep in mind, I played through all of I beat Elden Ring. I did like lots and lots of the side bosses. Like I started a new game plus. I got like halfway through that. So I played a lot of Elden Ring. At no point did I feel like I was doing a good job. And I beat the game. Okay? And the reason is it was designed to make you feel bad most of the time. It kills you from out of nowhere all the time. It hides tons of information from you. It makes you Google. It makes you.
But that's the thing is like I
comb through lots of stupid jokes to make progress.
I don't agree with the Googling.
Okay.
Like I know. Okay,
how would you play that game without Googling?
I did play that game without Googling.
How did you beat it?
No, but I had a great time because the thing with those games is that I value the journey through them more than like
the partial journey. Let's just
the partial journey until I feel like I've journeyed enough.
20% journey,
if that. It's a delicious meal, and I feel like I've eaten enough. You know, it's still delicious. It's still a good time.
You made your own wing condition.
I think that's a good question. Are you going to play the DLC?
Man, I
don't think you can. I'm pretty sure you have to get a lot farther.
It does make me want to go back and start playing it again.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if that would suck you back into.
I'm not gonna. I decided pretty early on. I don't need more of this.
Oh, man. While you're talking about saying like so Dark Souls has this. Dark Souls and Elden Ring has this vibe that I think the convolutedness of these things. And because I played other Dark Souls games, this is that whole cult thing. Is that I knew what I was getting into.
Okay,
right,
sure.
and I do, and
I
so
knew
much
what I was
so,
getting into as well.
But so much so that when you're making a character and you're presented with like items, like what's your first item, you have a existential crisis. Because like
one of the options is no item.
Yeah, because
and it doesn't do
because
it. There's no benefit to
because
that.
The thing is, or is there? I don't know. Because you know the way these games work is that what you pick, like, could have massive ramifications, and they don't. There's no way to tell at all. There's zero way to tell if anything that you pick at the start is going to be like the greatest thing or just complete trash.
Hey,
you know.
You know what? Baldur's Gate 3 does the same thing. Right? You can pick a class, and then you can pick a spec, and you can make lots of decisions early on that will affect the rest of your game. The thing is, those decisions all have some sort of logical follow-through.
Yeah.
That is not true for Elden Ring.
Yeah, I know.
It is just random. It is like, you thought you're doing the right thing? Oh, we're just going to kill an NPC now.
Yep.
Oh,
That's that. But that has been my experience through every Dark Souls game. Dark Souls 1, there's like the main.
But that doesn't make it good. Is my point.
It makes it feel. To me, it makes it feel real. Like in the real world. In the real world, I don't know what some other NPC is doing. Just refer to real people as NPCs.
No. At least you get to make the choice.
Yeah.
Okay. No, if we're gonna use the real world as an analogy,
Yeah.
it's like, actually, I'm gonna get my coffee half an hour earlier, and then Jonathan dies in his office, and you don't know why, but somehow.
But there was a reason. There would have been a reason somewhere that you just didn't know about.
And no one tells you.
No one
can
tells
ask
you.
Around.
Yeah,
there's no clues.
Guess what? I don't know what's going on in Jonathan's life. So I don't know what's going on with these NPCs either in these games.
Is that realistic though?
To me, it is.
Real life. Okay. So I want to crystallize what's happening here. You're saying if you went to get coffee half an hour earlier,
Yeah.
and someone died in the office, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I did something different. And
You would know for next time, though.
Yeah, I would know for next time.
You get plus.
Well, I would the next day. I would get coffee
at the regular time.
2 hours later, and then see who dies there.
Oh, but here's the thing: is like now the coffee store is in a new location.
And it doesn't tell you where it is.
Doesn't tell you where it is. It's invisible. Yeah, it's behind a wall. You have to hit the wall 50 times. And to get the coffee, you have to kill the NPC.
Yeah. And then you have to crouch down in a ball for.
Oh my! Look, I understand the context. I don't live in a vacuum. The truth is, I understand these games are designed to be like this. What I'm saying is these are not good design decisions, in my opinion. They are design decisions that benefit only the first wave of players. If I go back, if I played the original Demon Souls, which is the framework on which all of these games are built, if I went back and played that on PlayStation 3, I don't think it would be the same experience as people who played it the month of launch.
Sure.
And I don't think it would be a good.
But
experience.
why do you think that? Why do you think it wouldn't be the same if you've never played it and don't know any?
Because I wouldn't have, for example, the community clues.
Right.
And I would have very easy access to Googling all the answers.
Yeah, but I mean, don't Google. Don't Google.
Okay, so then
would
I just stumble through?
Yes.
Then nothing makes sense, is what I'm saying. Like this is what I'm getting at, is like the structure of the game, the philosophy that behind the game is reliant on a community existing at a point in time.
Yeah. Yes.
And making decisions about what they amplify, because it's also vote based, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So very good, valid clues can be hidden, and you'll see a lot of people saying, "Jump off the cliff," and that is not. Maybe that's what the developer intended.
I mean, sometimes there is
probably not.
Sometimes there is stuff down the cliff.
Sometimes there is.
1 times out of 10,
most
there
of the
is.
time.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10,
Most of the time
you
die, you have to get your souls back.
Yeah.
It's the I guess it's the nexus of these community mechanics that are sort of reliant on a community being truthful or you understanding that they're not being truthful.
Yeah.
So these elements, and the game being designed around not giving the player enough information, so it's actually the community kind of fumbling through. And then on top of that, the actual game mechanics are extremely punishing for moments where you fall prey to the community doing a funny little joke. You jumped off the cliff, you lose your souls, and by the way, that dragon is still alive, so you're gonna have a real hard time getting it.
Yep.
So it's these combinations of things. Oh, and also you made bad build decisions. So every point to try and make your build better is going to be more expensive for you. Yeah. All of these errors compound, and then they are amplified by the community, and they are amplified by the game design decisions. That's my philosophy. Their philosophy. I don't like it.
I do agree that the community aspect of it is a massive part of that game.
Yeah.
Because I think I might have mentioned this before. A friend of mine, we were both playing Dark Souls 3, but he pirated it. So he didn't have access to the community.
Yeah.
And it was a very different game.
Yeah.
You know,
You can turn off the
you can, and it feels weird to me. It makes the world feel, I don't know, less
empty.
empty. Yeah,
And
it
you know
makes
why
it
that
feel
is?
empty.
Because it is empty.
Yeah, I know.
There's like 10 NPCs.
Like
in
I
the
literally know that, but having all those, having that community aspect and seeing the ghosts of people running around every once in a while,
By the
seeing
way-
all the blood splats, all the messages, you feel like you are part of this community.
And it's one of like that whole thing was one of the most interesting because I hadn't played I'd only played a little bit of Bloodborne, but
Yep.
I didn't know how to play Dark Souls games at all.
Mm.
And I was running around trying to kill everything, so I didn't make it very far.
Mm.
I got stuck on one puzzle, I think. But Elden Ring, like that whole thing where there's all these messages and you get to see the blood splatters, and it was unique.
Yeah, like the blood splats,
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Really like, especially the blood splats, because it's like you see blood splats up ahead, and you're like, oh my god,
Oh, it was going to happen.
what is this?
Yeah.
You know,
But doesn't that okay? But I feel very conflicted about that because look, I agree with you guys. It is a very useful mechanic. You go, oh, there's something up ahead, but it's also a game that is so reliant on surprise for so much of its difficulty that the existence of that mechanic
that they can undercut it.
undermines
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
But even so, sometimes you know something dangerous is coming, and you still get surprised by
yeah,
it.
that's true.
Yeah,
and
that's
and,
true.
and sometimes I know something dangerous is coming, and I was like, okay, I walk around it, or I take it slow, and it's not challenging at all, and it's silly, or it's like easy, and it doesn't
But like you did just overcome that challenge by recognizing it and avoiding it.
Yeah, but then it doesn't feel satisfying.
That does to me though.
No, it's like fine. It's like having a friend go, "Hey, look out! There's something here. Oh, look out! You'll look out! There's a trap here."
Yeah.
And
So
then,
if you
like if I'm playing, it's like playing, in the '90s playing
Yeah.
on Zelda, and they're like, "Oh, the way you solve this puzzle is this." And you're like, okay, well, I mean, I would have figured it out,
yeah.
but now
Yeah.
you've taken that from me.
So yours okay. So
So it's conflicting,
yeah.
right?
How would you feel then if okay, imagine if those blood splats were not there at all, but the developer literally put like dead bodies in places like that. Would you also feel like, oh, the surprise has been undercut?
No. Because then it's interesting. It's a good question. I think at that point it's about the hand of the creator.
Yeah.
There is an intent there, right? The intent was for the developer. The developer saying, "Look for these clues, and you'll be rewarded." Whereas,
But are they not saying that, but using that
Players
mechanic
to
of the
drive
blood
their
splats
clues.
as the tool?
no, because imagine you are playing day one. You're ahead of the rest of the pack.
You are the blood splat.
You are the blood splat. It's a completely different experience.
You
It's
are
not-
the tool. You are the
It's,
tool.
it's
that
not
developer
rewarding.
uses.
You're fodder,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's different, and it's not to me it's the difference between the creator wanted this trap to surprise some percentage of players, but not all players, versus the creator wanted observant players to be rewarded with success.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's like, I'm gonna prank these guys, but not the rest, or it just is. There's a different intent behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Like, there's lots of games where visual clues will lead the player
Yeah.
to success or failure.
Like being the first few
Yeah.
out the gate, you definitely have that disadvantage of you don't have the knowledge of past of people
Yeah.
dying before you
Yeah.
to like guide the way kind of thing. But then, I mean, that is
At that point, it's like you're playing Kaizo Mario, right? Have you ever played Kaizo Mario?
no.
No, I don't watch people play it.
So Kaizo Mario is a ROM hack of Mario, and it's just meant to be punishing.
Yeah.
It is like lots of invisible blocks where a normally successful jump would get rebounded straight
Yep.
down into a pit,
I get you.
or enemies just falling from the sky, or whatever else. Like, it's just designed to. Have you played like I Want to Be the Guy?
No,
Have you
but
heard of
I haven't heard of that game.
There's lots of these like
Yeah.
sort of very, I call them like pranky,
Up.
like, huh?
Up's a similar sort of game. Only Up.
I haven't played that one.
That was a
Well, you're
it's-
climbing, right?
yeah. And it's just a series of you just keep scaling this thing.
Yeah.
But if you fall, you likely fall to the bottom
Right.
and start over again.
Yeah. It's sort of similar in that you have to learn through failure. And there is a type of player for whom that's like fun. And that's what I think Elden Ring without, or even like all the Souls games without the community aspects, that's what that would be. And I don't think that is, maybe that has mass appeal. I don't know. Not for me. There's a,
It did seem to in general, though, right?
huh?
It did seem to in general have mass appeal.
Elden Ring
Yeah.
or Kaizo Mario.
Oh, no, sorry.
Elden Ring, I think, does.
I
and
thought
it's-
you meant the specifically the learning by punishment, relearning side of things.
I think for some players that's true, but I also think only for some amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've played like old Mega Man games.
No, not Mega Man games, but I played a lot of those early console games.
Yeah.
Where, for the most part, like you ran out of lives and you just start over, right?
And enemies will respawn and all this like.
Yeah.
And Mega Man games are particularly bad because they'll have enemies that jump out of pits while you're mid jump, and there's like lots of little kind of prank game design elements to those, and they're brutal and frustrating. And I love Mega Man, but those things are dumb. And like I don't think those elements of Mega Man have aged well because they are reliant on failure and learning from failure. But failure is a limited resource because you only have a certain number of lives, and if you fail,
But these games were designed to be played over and over and over again because at the time you would only have like one game at a time. You would play that one game for months.
yes, we're living in a
wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of that design also based around arcades? Because if you die a bunch of times, you put in more money.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't think Mega Man was ever in arcades, but there are lots of games.
Okay, but
like
it's still bled into the
Same
console.
here.
That's why you
Yes.
have so many, lives and all that.
Yeah.
Like that's that whole thing.
This is also game design from like almost 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And people have gotten better at game design for the most part.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think I get it. To summarize, I get it. I get what you're talking about. I get what you're talking about,
Yeah.
WikiWig. And I still think that people overlook a lot of significant flaws. Putting aside all of that stuff, putting aside all of those elements, there are just major technical issues with Elden Ring.
Okay. I feel like we should maybe not read the questions at the start of the episode.
I thought you were going to finish up that question, but no, that was another chapter in the.
Look. I mentioned it last week, but the camera in that game is
Yeah.
bad.
Hey, Paul, should we go get a coffee and just let Nick rant for half an hour?
Oh, all right. That's
It's
all I
not
want
a
to say.
spin-off series.
Why would you look? Why would you have enemies so giant and then have the camera so zoomed in and
I
hard
agree.
to control?
Look, you just hit him in the ankle.
Yeah,
It's
just
all
on the
you
angle.
can.
It's
It's
so
all you can
dumb.
see.
The thing
You
is
hit him in
so
the ankle.
dumb.
It's gotten better since Demon Souls.
That's so bad. Like, look. Yeah. All right. That's all I'll say about that one. Why don't we read the next question?
It's also Elden Ring.
This is from Ein Hassad 7. This is regarding Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Just because some people are saints and they can put up with bad design, it doesn't mean that some aspects of a game are okay. If I was playing Elden Ring and I opened a chest that teleported me elsewhere without a way for me to get back, I would be pissed because I'm the type of player who likes to fully explore each area and click every single pot or interact with every single object before progressing. If the game forced me away from an area, that would make me think of all the things that I potentially missed there. Fair. I would not say that like you can always return. I don't think Elden Ring locks you out of any areas.
No, but it is difficult to return.
Actually, I take that back. The city of Lanedell, I think is what it's called, like the capital. If you progress too far, that whole area changes, and any items there are lost.
Oh wow!
So
I've always disliked that in every game I've ever played, though.
Oh, but I thought Elden Ring's a perfect game.
Did I ever say that? I don't think I ever said that. I'm pretty sure I never said it was a perfect game.
All right, fair.
I don't think there are perfect games. Dredge is a perfect game.
I think I think
Oh, Zelda.
Zelda is pretty darn close. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's pretty darn close.
It is. It is very, very close. Yeah.
There are multiple Zeldas that I would say are pretty darn close to perfect games. Like Ocarina of Time is pretty darn close to perfect. There are, I mean, also like there's some Portal, the original Portal. That might
that's
be a
good
perfect game.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some out there. Tetris.
That
Tetris
Tetris actually is probably a perfect game.
That's a very, very close to perfect game.
Yeah.
There are things I would probably change about Tetris.
Different shapes. Only line pieces.
well,
And
personally,
dominoes.
I prefer it was just like just the squares.
Yeah.
I just want
Tetris,
lines.
but it's just the squares.
I just
Yeah.
want the lines.
The lines.
No. Yeah, but it's a good question actually. What would you like? What's the most perfect game for you?
Ooh. Man, that is tough because like it's easy to say, okay, what's your favorite game? But like that's not my
Yeah,
favorite game is definitely
yeah.
not the most perfect game.
Here's the thing. I now realize I shouldn't have asked you because you almost exclusively play early access games.
And none of them are perfect.
None of them are going to be perfect because they're still being worked on. They're all buggy messes.
A perfect perfect idea for a that was not followed through on though.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. That's a really tough question.
Yeah. It's probably too tough.
It's yeah, I'm just gonna be staring blankly for 5 minutes trying to think of like, and what does it mean to be
Well,
perfect?
so
What does that actually
I
mean?
took it as being something that was executed to be exactly what it intended to be. That's the wrong phrasing.
no.
That it.
No, Paul, you're wrong.
All right, Nick, you tell us what is
Well,
it.
okay, here's the question. I think it is.
Oh, you
it
know
is
what?
a-
Elden Ring, actually.
oh God. It is a game that in its experience fulfills exactly the brief and is technically like tight, not like ideally bug free, but that's realistically the bugs are going to be very difficult to find.
That's what I intended to say, but
Yeah.
said it poorly.
I think you're pretty in that case you're pretty much on the money. Like the pacing should be really good, really tight. It should keep you occupied. It should be something that leaves a lasting impression as well, I think.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like? How do you feel like something like The Witness? Do you remember that game?
I never played The Witness.
That
I should
was
That's
play
a
The
puzzle game.
yeah. It was
right?
like all these puzzles, and they were executed really well, and they were all integrated into the level, into this like world. And like the more you actually kind of, at first you think they're all presented to you as like almost like stations to do these puzzles at. But as you progress into the world and the puzzles kind of teach you to see puzzles, you know, in the world, and you realize there's more and more in it, and you suddenly just realize, oh my god, there's like puzzles in the sky if I stand in a certain direction because you've been
That's
the
cool.
game has sort of trained you to see the world through puzzles.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I really should play that game. I've heard
it's a good game.
There's a second one that came out, right? Witness 2? I
Was
swear,
there?
quite recently.
No,
In the last year.
really? Why
I
is
swear.
I didn't know about
never
that.
heard.
No, that would
Well.
have been huge news, I'm sure.
Paul's googling.
Yeah,
I'm going to be one of the
Oh,
Googlers this one.
you know what?
time.
Did I talk about that? I bought God of War.
no, you didn't talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, I bought God of War.
Yeah,
I beat God of War.
perfect game.
No, it's a good game.
Yeah, it is a good game.
The loot in that game is weird. The whole itemization.
I don't fully remember it.
The
but
whole,
not the
the whole
Witness.
itemization system of that game is weird. to
Yeah.
me. It is. There's a lot of like, you get an item that is.
Oh,
Oh,
nah, I was thinking of something else.
Half-Life.
Yeah, Half-Life 3
Half-Life 3 came out. Yeah. Famous.
It's really slipped on the radar.
Yeah, no one was. No
Yeah.
one really was
Yeah.
asking for it.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's too busy talking about that Elden Ring DLC. That's the problem.
I was thinking of Taylor's Principle.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
Because
Yeah,
similar style
Yep.
game, I think.
yeah.
Stanley Parable. I would say that's a nearly perfect game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those games, they're all. I feel like this is an indie game thing.
Yeah, I think it's because they have a pretty narrow conceit, and then they push that narrow conceit only to the point where it is about to stop being interesting.
Yeah.
And then they end the game.
Yeah.
And oftentimes,
I mentioned Dredge, and that's a brilliant little game. And it's not even that long. It's like, I think I had like 10 to 15 hours of gameplay.
yeah.
But it just did exactly what it set out to do. And
I've heard Dave the Diver just.
Oh, yeah,
heard
I've
that's
seen that
also
pop
very
up.
good.
Yeah.
The only reason I bring it up is because these two games kind of feel very fishing themed.
Yeah.
Isn't there
Came
a
out
crossover?
very right. Huh?
Isn't there a crossover? I swear,
I don't
Dredge has had a oh man, here we are guessing again at something that we vaguely heard. But I swear there was like a Dredge, Dave the Diver crossover DLC or something for Dredge. I swear there was. Oh well.
I know Dredge did a DLC that I
listeners,
haven't
can you
played.
fact check us real quick? Let us know.
We should go back to ranting about Elden Ring because at least we had like
At least we had an idea.
I
through
look like the
that.
idiot. Oh boy.
So anyway, hey Nick, what have you been playing?
God of War 3. No, not God of War 3. God of War. You know what? Let's get back
The
on this
God
old,
of War.
This old chestnut of mine. The fact that they called this game God of War when there was already a God of War.
Did they call the next one? No, they just called it Ragnarok.
They called it God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, they didn't call it.
They could have called this like God of War North. They could have called this God of War
God of North.
Asgard. They could have called it lots of different things. And I think it would have been just as good a game, and it would have been less confusing to talk about, and wouldn't have undermined the existence of another very good game called God of War by the same developer.
I think it only gets confusing as time. It gets more confusing as time passes.
Well, here's the thing. So there's this good game.
Yeah.
It's called God of War.
Yeah.
It came out in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And if they were to re-release that, like an HD, you know, which the industry's so fond of just redoing the same game over and over and over again. Now they can't. Because what do you call it?
God of War Remaster.
Oh, okay. Which one?
You could put in brackets, you know the one.
Yeah.
I don't. I literally.
You know.
Because some games have been remastered within the same generation.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, this is still like. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm 100% agreeing with you. But it's just a thing of like, as time goes on, and those games, like the new God of War, which is just called God of War, is no longer the default God of War that people would be talking about.
Yeah.
Because they could be talking about the older God of War, because now
Ragnarok.
they're both old gods of War.
Yeah.
So at the time, everyone's like, no one's gonna. I don't know. Maybe
It's
they thought
so
everyone
silly.
will just have the new thing on their mind. But when the new thing is no longer the new thing and is now on equal footing as the old God of War.
The most egregious example of this, I think, in recent history is Prey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's a whole other thing, though, right? Like that's
a very different thing. And that was a publisher meddling.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was the case for God of War. But anyway, God of War.
Yeah.
Solid game.
Yeah.
Fun. Weirdly grindy at times. At least if you wanted to gear up.
What difficulty did you play it on?
The default.
Okay. I ended up. I think I turned it way down over time. 'Cause I was just getting frustrated with some parts of it.
It is a game that you have to take the time to learn the flow of combat. It's what it initially starts off kind of feeling like is you can kind of get away with just good hack and slash combos.
Yeah.
But if you want to beat, for example, the optional Valkyrie bosses, it becomes more like Elden Ring in that you have to step back, watch attack patterns.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's way more satisfying, in my opinion, to parry a blow in God of War than it is in Elden Ring.
Oh, I've never been able to parry anything in those FromSoft games.
Yeah.
I don't even try.
It's because they don't have good signaling.
No.
The hitboxes are all over the place. Yeah, that's right. I'm trashing Elden Ring again.
Yeah.
Get over it. This is what that episode is. God of War does lots of signaling, and on top of that, when you parry a blow, they like slow down time, so you have like cool moment. You get to get in there and do some stuff.
That's like one of the most satisfying feelings in games when you get the you did the right thing. We're going to give you slow-mo.
Yeah.
In action games, that just always feels amazing. I suppose it could be overdone, though, if it was too much.
It can be. I don't know that God of War overdoes it. What I will say is they have this horrible habit of having timed mechanics that don't slow down when the rest of the thing slows down.
Right.
So it can sometimes feel like a punishment to
Yeah.
a perfect parry or whatever. It's like, oh, cool. Oh, actually, I'm going to die because I'm choking on mist.
Oh,
And
man.
I can't do anything about it because it's so slow.
I did play the first God of War.
The original? See, this is the problem, people. This is the problem.
I played
2018 version?
God of War.
2018?
God of War?
Oh, boy.
20 something.
Nah, it's it was a 2018 one.
The icy one, the one in snow.
Yep.
Yeah. And what
Dude
did
and
you
his
think?
son, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep. I enjoyed it. I didn't finish it, as is classic of me. But I beat a bunch of the Valkyries.
Okay.
Not all of them.
You could have finished it then.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got to the bit where I was heading up to the final boss because I googled it to see if that's where the game ended,
Yeah.
and chose not to.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a fun
It
boss.
sounds like you were
Very epic.
feet away from the end of the game.
Yeah, it was.
Now I was playing this game and I hadn't realized it because, I tried not to read it. When I want to play something, I try not to read about it because I don't want it to color my experience.
Yeah.
And I was playing through it, and the thing that struck me quite early on was, they've done this very clever, intentional thing where it's meant to feel like all one shot. Like the camera is always floating behind the character, and then like when there's cutscenes, the camera doesn't cut away. It just moves. It drifts. It follows the different characters around. You go into building, the camera just follows you through. You go through where there would normally be a load screen, the camera just follows you through. And they do lots of little things to make sure that there's plenty of time to load assets. Where like, okay, now I have to lift up a big boulder. It takes 5 or 10 seconds, or whatever. And it is impressive. It is a thing that you notice in a good way. And I think other games have done this kind of unintentionally. Like almost any open world game without load screens or with few load screens will feel like this.
Yeah.
But because they make the camera feel so dynamic, when you don't have control over your character, you actually do notice it. And it was then I read about it, and it was a really intentional decision, and I had to put a ton of work in to make it work.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So good job, guys. I know you've been waiting 6 years for this. Kudos. So big ups.
Great.
You guys been playing anything?
I've been playing. I'm gonna forget the name again. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor.
Right. Yes.
It's got a real mouthful of a name.
Yeah.
Every time I go to talk about it, I struggle with which of those words goes in the right order.
It's also a name that, if you don't know what Deep Rock Galactic is,
Yeah.
then Deep Rock Galactic Survivor makes even less sense.
Yep.
This is just 4 words.
But even if
You could shuffle around and it would still be fine.
Deep Galactic Rock Survivor
Yeah.
also sounds like a game.
Yeah.
But if you know what
My brain just can't
if you
handle
know
it.
what Deep Rock Galactic is, it still is confusing because like you told me you were playing that, and I thought, it's some sort of other mode of Deep Rock Galactic, but it's not.
No, it's a different game.
It's a different game.
It's their Survivor game, which is based off like Vampire
Survivor.
Survivors.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The fact that it's called Survivor, but it's not a survival game.
Yeah.
Now they've got 2 different competing genres. Survival, where you go around collecting resources and crafting. And Survivor. where
Maybe
you
that's
just
why they
have
made it a
hordes of
different game.
monsters.
Yeah.
You should make a game called Survival Survivor.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, where you have to build and craft things and defend against hordes of monsters.
Yeah.
Constantly. So what do you reckon? How's the game?
It's very fun. It immediately gave me that sort of constant dopamine feeling you get from those sorts of games where it's very arcadey, hordes of monsters, but more interesting time management, I think, than some of the other Survivors kinds of games I've played. I've tried a couple of the other ones, but none of them really stuck.
I played a lot of Vampire Survivors, and there wasn't really time management as a thing.
Yeah, so this one, you've got a mine as well. because there's two main resources you can mine for your progression through this run. And
Yeah.
then there's some other nodes you can mine that upgrade your overall sort of meta
Yeah.
progress
Yeah.
for subsequent runs.
Sure. Is it Nitra and gold?
Yes. Yes, it
Nailed
is.
it.
That's for the one for the current run.
Yeah. Okay.
And Nitra is used more for upgrading your weapon,
Yep.
and the gold will give you just buffs to stats that
Okay.
apply sort of across the board for this run. Like it might be like 15% extra damage to this type.
So what's the like meta? Is it bismuth or bismuth?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
Okay.
Um,
If you can't tell, I've been playing a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, the original.
but it's fun, and the time management thing is very interesting. You feel like you really want to spend all your time just killing the monsters and getting XP so you can level up, your weapons and these other stats. But then you also really want to be mining those resources, and you can make dumb decisions like, I'm going to go mine these resources in the middle of this pack as a swarm starts or something, and corner yourself.
Yeah.
Have to start over.
Yeah.
It's still in early access, I think.
Yeah, Blake, you'd love it.
So great.
One
Oh, he's interested in that?
downside that I'm noticing already is like every run so far has had the same end boss,
Okay.
which has the exact same moves, and
Yeah.
I imagine that's going to get
You'd hope.
fairly tired. I
You'd
mean,
hope they'd make some new ones.
yeah, I think they will, because I mean, it only just came out, and
How does
I've seen a lot of people
Vampire
playing
Survivor work? Does it have the same like bosses?
Any given level
it-
will have the same boss.
Yeah.
Well, it has like super powerful enemies at specific time benchmarks.
Right.
Yeah,
Like at 2 minutes, and then 4 minutes, and then 6 minutes, and then like in the last like 10 minutes, it'll be like one per minute. And usually you have to beat the final boss in order to like win.
except then you usually die because death comes.
Oh yes. Right.
Reaper, and yeah, there's later things where you have to try kill the Reaper and stuff.
Yeah. And that's a game where they do lots of little secret things, lots of little secret unlockables, and it doesn't feel obnoxious.
Wow.
It just feels like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is okay because I always have a chance to get it. It doesn't lock me out, and it's not most of the game.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's what I will say about now. I've only really played. Actually, I've played Vampire Survivors, and I've also played some mobile kind of rip-offs.
Yep.
And the mobile rip-offs are not very good. They're always sort of designed to have this long progression tail that will force you to monetize at some point. Whereas Vampire Survivors, really fun. The biggest problem is you can solve it very quickly. You can figure out specific weapon combos that are very strong. And once you learn those combos, regardless of level or what shows up, almost like you can pretty much have an easy run.
Yep.
How is Deep Rock Galactic Survivors?
I have not yet gotten to the point where I can just start a run and know that I will complete it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different weapons, and you're forced to invest quite heavily in whichever weapons you choose.
Okay.
Um,
Do they have the merger mechanic where you like?
no, not that I've seen so far.
Interesting.
You're just constantly trying to scale up the weapons you have. They do have 3 points in leveling the weapons up where you get to choose a perk
Interesting.
for that
Like a
weapon.
branching perk?
Yeah, so for one of the weapons is turrets that you can drop when you stand still,
Yeah.
and one of the perks is that it can mine.
Ah.
So it'll mine things around you.
That's cool.
Another one is that the turrets follow you instead of being stuck on the ground.
Cool.
Or that they deal plasma damage instead of kinetic. Plasma's fun because it just bounces. I think it bounces 3 times or something. So you can... I've felt like a lot of the runs I've done are different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well that will scale. I've probably played maybe 10 hours of it so far,
Mm-hmm.
just on and off over the last week or so.
So in Vampire Survivors, most of the enemies are just like health sponges.
Yep.
Like you just kind of, it's all about kind of dealing the most damage to the most enemies the fastest,
Mhm.
and you can dodge attacks, and that's kind of the whole gameplay
Yep.
outside of like choosing weapons and upgrades. And I've played a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, and one of the sort of features of that is enemies are quite varied in their behaviors and weak points.
Yeah.
How does Deep Rock Galactic Survivors does it marry these two
I
elements?
haven't seen much in the way of varied enemies. It's all very health spongy swarms.
Okay, that's a shame.
The swarms just scale and scale, and it
Yeah.
feels very like Vampire Survivors. You'd always get to this point where you would just be obliterating
Yes.
ways of things.
Yes.
For the most part, where I've got to in Deep Rock Galactic with where my progression is now,
Yeah.
I can't get to that point.
Mm.
If I can kill things reliably, it's very close to me.
Right.
So all the runs feel very tense.
Yeah.
And there's been ones that have been going great, and then I just die because I bumped into the wrong thing.
Right.
Because you're riding that line of being able to deal a lot of damage, but too close to you.
Yep. And then you move too quickly in one
Yeah.
direction or something.
Yep.
Yes. Cool. I'm tempted to pick up this game. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, it's also very cheap. So like,
It's like
I think
$13,
it's
something like that.
I think it was like 9 New Zealand.
Oh, not when I saw it.
Oh, really?
I think it was about 13.
There have
Okay.
been sales recently.
Yeah, that's true. This was already on discount. I think it was meant to be
Oh.
15. They had like a little discount on it.
Maybe I got it early enough that it was
Mm.
still cheap or something.
Well, I might still get it because even at like $15, it's what is that like
I mean, Paul's gotten 10 hours out of it already, and it's not
banana?
Oh, okay. It's US
in this
$9.
economy. Yeah.
that's the kind
US $10. So I saw the $9 and
Yeah.
yeah, New Zealand dollars more.
So 45
$45.
$45 New Zealand.
That's a worse currency conversion than you would hope.
Look, I'm pessimistic. Like, I'm not bullish on the New Zealand economy.
You're not hyped for the bull run?
What is that?
Some crypto thing?
Okay.
He's talking about. They're like, it's coming any day now.
Okay. And on this podcast, we are normally out of our depth. We are way out of our depth right now. So let's move on. Hey, Blake, what have you been playing?
Me. I've been playing a few things, but recently I got back into X4.
Yep.
And I'm having a way more enjoyable time.
And you were already having a good
and I was already having an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
But part of it is I know the things I didn't know, UI wise, basically. I know how to navigate the game.
You know how to get inside a ship?
Yeah.
You know how to get out of a ship?
I know where things are in the menu.
Yeah.
You know which thing to select when you're trying to start the game to begin with.
Yes.
You know there are vendors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I started as one of the like Terran starts.
Yeah.
Um,
Those are people from Earth, like
Yeah.
directly, recently from Earth.
which is I didn't realize how much of a sort of like cool impact that would have on me, where it's
Yeah.
like you start off in the solar system.
Yeah.
And it's like they're talking about, all the planets and asteroid belt that and
Yeah.
and it just felt like, oh, this is like home.
Yeah.
It was like a cool feeling.
There was a mission. When I played X4, there was a mission to go to this specific thing, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it took me to Earth.
Oh, really?
And so I was the mission was to fly to this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm following the quest markers, and I'm trying to find all these little portals. And I'm like, hang on, this looks a little bit like Jupiter. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm like, okay, this definitely looks like Saturn.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. And then I'm like, this is Mars.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I'm at the moon.
Yeah.
This is the moon, and I can see Earth. This is cool.
It is really
And,
cool.
But yeah,
so
you
you
get a
didn't
little tingly feeling.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I never expected that playing it, but I was just like, oh wow. And what's cool with the what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's a bit of the same feeling if you've ever been to like any of the places in a Grand Theft Auto game.
Oh,
and then you
okay.
go to the place, like that place in Grand Theft Auto that you've been to in real life, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, they did a really good job recreating it.
Oh,
you
neat.
get kind of the pins and needles.
Yeah. Well, he did a really great job of recreating the Earth. It just
It looked big blue sphere.
big flat disc.
The wall of ice all around the ring.
Yeah, it was really good. So one thing is that there's an actual like much more of a storyline with that like starting faction than there was with my original one. My original one, like basically there was none. It was just like, here you go, here's the galaxy, figure it out.
Yeah.
And that was it. In this, it's like you are basically started off in the middle of a mission, and you have like a wingman with you and stuff, and there's like chatter back and forth between people. It's like a real, actual like storyline in a game.
Cool.
Yeah, and you go through this thing, and you know,
Is it
it's
Terran Cadet or something?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
start?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Terran
the one I
Cadet.
started with.
Oh yeah,
On the like third time of trying to start the game.
yeah.
I'm tempted to do a playthrough where you start with the Boron faction, because that's the most recent one. And I remember when we had Josiah on the podcast to talk about X4. The thing he said was, the more recent the expansion, the better
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah.
They know how to
Well,
make the game now.
This time I did go through the Boron Gate and experienced some of their storyline.
Yeah.
I would say it is actually more interesting and better just from interacting with them, not even just starting with them. There's just more going on there.
Yeah.
It felt like a real expedition and like a real discovery, because like this
Right.
gate opens up that has been disconnected for like 100 years or something.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what's on the other side, and you go in with this like expedition fleet.
Yes.
And there's a commander there that's like, you know, giving you orders and stuff like that, and you really feel like you're going into the unknown.
You're
Like you
on the
actually
frontier.
you really don't know what's out there. It's a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, but another thing with starting with the Terrans was Earth and the Moon is locked off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you cannot enter them until you gain enough rep, basically. But I like that.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like, oh, it's like a weird goal just to be like, I just want to see Earth. Like I don't care about like the resources or whatever shipyards are over there.
Yeah.
I just want to go see Earth. So
Yeah.
it makes you want to like proceed through the missions
That's
and to get that reward of going to see Earth. And I did, and I went there and flew around for a bit, and I was like, oh man, look at that. There's Earth there and stuff. And I found like this like derelict ruin thing. And I read up on it, and there's like lore and history behind it, and it gave me a little more insight
It's
into
a big broken ring.
Yeah.
So this is when you start from whatever I started.
Yeah.
from, you do eventually make a mission. You got on a mission to go there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
thing is, when you go there, it's a stealth mission,
Oh.
and it's about avoiding all
Yeah.
the Terrans, and it's a very highly
Oh.
guarded location.
Yeah.
It's all quarantined.
Wow.
And you're in like a custom ship that's meant to look like it's a Xenon ship, like a customized Xenon ship, or maybe something else. But
Yeah.
it's masking its identity, so you have to stay
Right.
out of scanners.
Oh, yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
And then did you go inside the ruin?
No, I didn't know you could go inside. I just flew around it, and I started scanning it to see if there was anything, and then I was just like, oh, there doesn't seem to be anything there. But it was quite big, so I didn't explore all of it.
That was
If you can go inside, I'm like, oh.
that was a really annoying mission, to be perfectly honest. You go inside, and it feels a bit like the trench run from Star Wars,
Oh, okay.
which sounds cool,
Yeah.
except that the dogfighting inside of a trench full of turrets is not great.
Ah. That's
Uh,
interesting.
And
Okay.
you, at least when I did it, you had to go in this specific ship,
Mm.
does not have a lot of health,
Oh,
and
no.
you blow up really easy.
Ah, that. Yeah.
And that's a game where, if I recall correctly, they don't do a lot of checkpoint saving.
No, they really don't.
So-
You basically have to set your autosave timer
Yeah.
to be like save every 10 minutes or every like whenever.
I didn't have that, and I had to do the whole evasion run
That's such
again.
a pain.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that puzzle section that I got to, which was inside
Puzzles.
something. Yeah, it was just, I don't remember the name of the mission, but you had to go in this thing make your way in, opening all these doors and stuff. You have to keep getting out of your ship.
We're all talking about the same thing.
Okay, so this is the same thing.
Is it the same thing? Oh, wow.
There was that puzzle bit near the
Yes.
end. You could brick that, and you had to go back to get it to reset.
Really?
You would have to reload. I got stuck.
I think I know what
Looked
you're
up
talking
how to
about.
reset it,
Uh-huh.
and
I don't think
everyone was just like, "You've just got to reload the last save."
That's awful. Yeah, it is a really annoying mission. Everything up to that point is awesome.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Evading all of the stealth things and like it's a real cool vibe. And then you get inside of there and it's like this is someone built this thing and they had a great vision for it and they forgot how the actual game plays.
Yeah.
And how much of a struggle it would be to actually do any of these things as a player. And they forged ahead anyway.
It did have some cool ideas.
Yes.
It just
not the best execution.
Nah, all that having to get out of the ship and go around just
The
to open a
poison
door.
clouds.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that got tired.
Getting out of your ship, I do find to be often a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
That mission makes you do it a lot.
Yeah.
And then there are times when it's kind of like I get it, I'll do
Yeah.
it. When you find like a secret station or whatever, and
Yeah.
you have to like,
Yeah,
open up the
that's
locks,
alright.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're doing it infrequently.
And those have like big juicy rewards as long as you open the right things and stuff
Yes.
and collect the things.
What about repairing those satellites where you just pop out for like 10 seconds and then pop back in? And if you don't park close enough, you gotta like
Oh yeah, fly for like
fly
5
or
minutes
whatever,
just
and then you're
because you
like, oh,
overshot
man.
by 10 seconds.
yeah, and then you're like, the time it
Rest.
takes me to get back to my ship, I would
Yeah.
have already gotten there. So it's like, do I just go back or do I just?
You know what's really bad is if you have the wrong settings and you've got a co-pilot and they just leave.
Oh,
Oh no!
And
Oh
you're
my
like,
God.
oh, yeah, that was tall.
I had a problem where so you have that wingman in that. I was doing a mission where one of those blow up the mines missions, one of those just random side whatever missions.
Yeah.
I was doing one of those, and the wingman just started shooting the ship that was trapped. And I was just sitting there going, "What the hell?" And it's like, I was desperately trying to like figure out how to command him to stop, and then he just blew up the ship.
Okay, well,
I was like, "What?"
I guess that's a mission failed.
Yeah.
Huh, guys.
So then, like, I reloaded, and then like every time I did one of those missions, I would have to go to the map, click on him, tell him to dock and wait at a station.
Yeah.
Because I can't trust him.
Yep.
Yeah. You do hit a point in that game where most of the gameplay does take place on the map.
Yeah, I'm getting into that point now. Like the last few times I've played. So here's the thing. I play with a controller.
Okay.
I play and I've mapped a lot of
yes,
buttons, and
yes.
it's like
I think I played with a controller and keyboard.
yeah, well, I play with a
that's what I did
controller
as
and
well.
keyboard as well. But I've mapped a load of buttons as well to make it so that I only ever need to use the keyboard when I'm in the map.
Yeah.
But I parked up at a station. I put my controller down using the mouse and keyboard to do map stuff.
Yep.
And I have a wireless controller. And after, I don't know, half an hour or something, it like disconnects. And I was probably doing that for like, I don't know, an hour or something. And like, I do it all the time where like I will just be in the map and then I'll go back to my ship and I realize I've been in the map so long that my controller has thought I've not playing anymore, and it's just
Right.
like completely shut down.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we are out of time. I'm keen to hear more about X4.
It's great.
Next episode.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play again. No, but I want to play Deep Rock
Yeah.
Galactic Vampires.
Survival.
Vampire Rock
Survivor,
Survivors.
the TV show.
Jeff Probst's Deep Rock Galactic
Yeah.
Survivors. Yep. Great. Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks. You can email frenzyquestions@gmail.com. In the meantime, send us your questions. Maybe we'll read them out at the front. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
don't
Maybe
know.
we
I
won't
think
read
it
them out
worked
at
out
all.
well. I think it worked out well. Send in more Elden Ring.
Sure, if you want to hear me get progressively angrier over the next.
That's definitely been the theme, I think.
Yeah, there's a look in your face too when you start talking about it that you're over it and also just still frustrated by it that you keep talking about
And
it.
the frothing at the mouth is...
Yeah.
Look, that's my tetanus, and that is we'll go with that. No, that's rabies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tetanus is lockjaw. I wish I had
Got
tetanus.
both, which is weird.
Boy, I wish I had tetanus when somebody emailed me about Elden Ring. All right, I will be back in a couple weeks. Love ya. Bye.
But
The thing I remember about Vampire Survivors is you kind of hit a critical point where it's like, oh, I can get tons and tons of coins or whatever it is that I need.
yeah,
Especially you figure out one or two workable strategies, and they work for every level. Well, we can talk about this in the podcast. Why are we talking about this now? Shut up, Paul.
no pants. Let's talk about pants.
Okay, go on.
You don't like your shorts, man. I can tell.
I'm wearing shorts. Yeah, it's anti-pants.
Anti-pants. Yeah.
I mean,
Jeans. I'm a jeans guy.
Ever since started working from home,
Oh,
I haven't
yeah.
put on a pair of jeans, basically. That is something, if I work at an office job again, I might need to go jeans shopping.
Is that a heavy con for you? Or?
The thing is, you can get away with wearing shorts like 70-80% of the year.
Mm.
And shorts are even more comfy than pants. Than track
we
pants.
work in games. We work in the games industry. We're not putting on.
Look at them. They're made of almost nothing. This is just some soft microplastics
Okay, now
for my nether regions.